Why don't we just start with updates, and then maybe a few more people will join, and you'll if it's 3 or 4 more people and you want to do it then.
Why don't we challenge each one of us to tell the others something that they've never told? Because I feel like, I think most of everybody knows everybody on, some level here. So, and I don't know what that is for me yet, but I'll think about something.
Sure, we could do that. All right, I'll just put on my phone timer. I don't know, 3-ish kind of minutes. Rajiv, do you want to kick it off?
Sure. And can I share my screen?
Absolutely, and I will put it in speaker mode. Like your new haircut.
No, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. My interns seem to like it as well, so thank you.
Go for it.
Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, so I'd like to talk to you today about Lily Launch Tools. So you may know that Lynn Donaldson and I created this software called Lily Launch Tools. It was originally designed for pharmaceutical, medical device, and biotech companies to manage their product launch and their product launch strategic planning process with ease. But when we looked at that closely and distilled the idea further, we understood that at its core, Lily Launch Tools is a goal setting system. And we thought that, okay, when it comes to goal setting, what is the other use case of goal setting? So an interesting opportunity turned up where we're using Lily Launch Tools to help parents get their kids into their ideal college of choice. And essentially part of the college application process is to create what's called a passion project. And the passion project is intended to articulate to the school or the college why the student cares deeply about this issue. So this is an example, a live example of a client that I'm working with. This is his passion project. And as you can see here, Lily organizes your strategy in the GHOST hierarchy, which is goals, objectives, strategy, tactics, and tasks. So as you can see here, the goal is Aryan's passion project. Then there's a passion project topic. The topic here is Zoroastrians of New York, because he is Zoroastrian. And there are some success KPIs, some of which are understanding the impact, the level of content engagement, fundraising, etc. And then the other side of this is the actual organization building, because they're looking to create a nonprofit. So this is how it turned out on Lily. So it kind of, as you can see, it allows you to map everything really easily, and you can annotate everything by noting its completion status. So here, there are various steps to creating a nonprofit, as all of you, I'm sure, know, like the organization name, the website domain name, vision and mission statements, the logo, the website design, board of advisors, setting up the corporation, getting an EIN number, getting the 501c3 election, setting up the social media, setting up the LinkedIn profile, etc., etc., etc. So these are all things that we loaded into Lily and are then able to map and track the entire process. And this has been going on, I want to say, just 3 weeks. And within 3 weeks' time, they've already accomplished so much, just thanks to the focus of knowing exactly where they're going, since this literally is a roadmap, and to then be able to track and literally get things off the to-do list to bring them a lot closer to realizing the goal of making this passion project something real to help their kid get into either Harvard or NYU or Columbia or whichever the school that they want to get their kid into. So this is one example of how we're using Lily. So it's, as you can see, the use case is quite broad. It's not just about product launch in biotech and medical device companies or finance and technology companies, but it is literally a goal setting system. And it just makes for the goal setting process to be visual, very easy, and of course, accessible as well. As you can see here, there's like a whole bunch of extended team, all of which have various roles, and all of these users can then access the system and see exactly what role they have to play in the overall piece of work that's ongoing. So that's basically Lily Launch Tools update as to how we're using it. And I will also like to add that the one new thing that we are doing with Lily is we're providing premium onboarding service, which means that we're personally helping each and every user with their onboarding, setting up their account, setting up the trial, as well as doing free weekly check-in calls to make sure that they're on track every single week. And the intention is to make them as comfortable with the software and to ensure that they're using the software as well, and to help them get comfortable with it, because we understand that if it's new, anything new usually will have some friction and some resistance. And
Robert has a question. I want to, Robert.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I should call you the assassin or Rajiv, but so I mean this is a lot here. Is I guess what you're, if I hear you correctly, what you're saying is part of what you do is not just provide the software, but really consult, for lack of a better word, of saying, okay, what are the processes here? What are all the dependencies? And then kind of build this out for them.
Right.
And
Right.
I mean that's huge right there, right?
Yeah.
Especially if they've never done that before. Maybe they have done it, but haven't documented the process before. Like having this down is tremendous.
Yeah, thank you for that, Robert. Yeah, I mean, this is something that they hadn't done previously, and they had no wherewithal of exactly how to even begin. So it has like a little bit element of coaching and consulting that's thrown in there, but the framework allows for things, it just allows for their thoughts to kind of take shape, in this format. Tim, you had a question?
Yeah, I want to cut it off because we do have, we are doing our short form presentation or short form intros. Also, by the way, it looks like we are, don't want that. We have more people now. We had 3 more people join, guests: Jordi Matsumoto, Jesse Resnick, Carly Fink. Welcome all. And Michael Falato is joining as well.
Yeah,
so
I can go ahead and do my presentation, I think, and now we have a little bit more people.
Yeah, why don't you do that, and then we'll get back to the intro. So now we've got 3 by 4. We've got 12 people. Wonderful.
Do you want me to do it now or wait until everybody?
Yeah, why don't you do it now?
Okay.
I'm going to I think I found my apps. I'll give you 15 minutes. And if everybody else would go on mute, that would be great. And I will put you in speaker mode and you could take it away.
Okay, everybody. Hi, I'm Alan Winnikoff. I'm going to share the screen. So ignore the fact that I put 1 R in referral. And everybody can see that screen, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. I wanted to make this presentation because I thought about what would be most effective to use this time, and there's a couple of things. One is we've been in business for 20 years, so I thought how can I communicate how we've grown as a firm, and I thought it would be relevant for everybody because we're all entrepreneurs and we've all had to adapt our business to new realities. And I can't say that I did this with any great strategic plan in mind. I'm not that smart. It was more organic about how my business has evolved over the years, but I thought it'd be helpful for everybody to hear that. And then the other thing that I think is helpful is I'm just going to try to I could just be able to scroll here. There we go. Okay. The other reason why I think it's helpful is that I'm always looking for trusted third-party partners. And I thought by showing you guys what we do and how we do it, maybe we could find a way to collaborate. And that's obviously my goal here, because I want you to think about partnerships, right? That's what we're all looking for, right? How we can partner. So that's the goal of this presentation, is twofold. One, hopefully you'll see how one small business has had to evolve, and two, you can think about how we might be able to partner. So let me move on to the next slide. So let's go back to 2003. Where were we as a world in 2003? By the way, that picture in the lower right just gives you an idea of how running a small business over 20 years has aged me in dog years. Yes, that was me a mere 20 years ago, and life has changed. Well, first of all, Mark Zuckerberg was 19 years old in 2003. He had this idea while he was at Harvard for a social media company, but he was just at the beginning. MySpace launched in 2003. Gives you an idea. How many of you were on MySpace? President Bush announced that we would be back on the moon by 2015. How did that go? People read stuff on paper. I know that seems really, really weird, but it was actually a fact. People read books and magazines and newspapers on paper. Try to remember that. PR metrics were in the Stone Age. People weren't as concerned about getting metrics on their PR. It was basically like, hey, we got you the story in this magazine. Oh, great. Okay, great. Nobody really asked for numbers. PR was always trying to find a way to quantify their ROI, and it's always been extremely challenging in my business. And then to say the business was binary, is just another way of saying we were very singularly focused on earned PR. That's how we started, except nobody used the word binary back then. So now, who are we? Well, we're based in Manhattan. We're bi-coastal. My partner is on the West Coast. I mentioned we started in 2003. We are a boutique agency, PR, social media agency. But even though we're small, we worked with clients basically all over the planet. Pretty much every continent except Antarctica. I don't think we've ever worked with anybody in Antarctica, but we might at some point. Branding and positioning, I'll get into more of that in a minute. I mentioned earned PR. That's really where we started, and we still offer that to people, even though, interestingly, people still really want that. They want to be in newspapers and magazines, and you've heard me say this on the call before. People want to be in newspapers and magazines, even though nobody reads newspapers and magazines, but that's still really important to our clients. Social media, I'll get into this as well, has become a huge part of our business. It's now at least half of what we do. And that's where I talk about the evolution of the business. We wouldn't still probably be in business if we didn't do social media for pretty much all of our clients. And paid content, that's another big part of what we do now that has, again, back in 2003, it just wasn't as much of a thing, but it is now, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So just to kind of go back from where we started to where we are now, it was traditional PR, old school PR, press coverage, speaking opportunities, live events, third-party partnerships. That hasn't changed. Branding, of course, we're all marketers on this call. Everybody does branding, right? Everybody does positioning. That's what we all share that, no matter what aspect of marketing you're in. My world is PR and social, but all of you do branding in some way or another. Where are we now? Well, I mentioned social media is now a huge part of our business. Content marketing, that's paid content, that's editorial coverage that you pay for. You've seen that on all of your news feeds. Influencer marketing, we have a huge demand to find influencers that clients can pay for content. So that's something that has evolved. Affinity marketing, that's finding influencers who you can pay a percentage to when they promote your product. Somebody clicks through, you see that they've clicked through the influencer, and the influencer gets paid. And branding and positioning obviously hasn't changed, except that it's amplified. It's become much more much more of a bigger ask, I believe, than it was 20 years ago from clients. So that's kind of how things have changed over those 20 years. And of course, Mark Zuckerberg has gotten older. Now, social media, as I mentioned, has become such a big part of what we do. And I think the thing that we do differently than pure social media companies is that those companies charge less, but it's very sort of like a factory, whereas we are more bespoke in how we handle social. So we don't get as many people coming to us asking for social media because they have to pay more, but they're going to get a level of service from us. Those social media companies, a lot of times they might handle 50 clients. We're not going to do that. So it just depends on what you want. It doesn't make them any better or worse than us. It's just a different business model. And, at the end of every month, we write a narrative, we tell a story about how they did in that particular month. We give them a lot of personal attention in that way. But again, as I said, if we didn't do social media for clients, most of the time what we do, this last bullet here, PR and social media, what do I mean by 360 impact? We are able to align the PR that we're doing for a client with the social media we're doing, so that when we get coverage in PR, we can amplify it tremendously through social. And that's one of the advantages that we offer people, is that combined social media and PR just provides a greater level of impact. Talked about, this is where you guys come in. The lovely and talented Christina Hagopian is on this call. She is one of our trusted third-party partners, an amazing designer who we work with different clients. We also have a company that we work with on video content. We look for companies that we can partner with on SEO, street teams, all these different areas. Right now, we're actually looking for somebody who is a Wikipedia consultant. We've done Wikipedia for clients, but it finally dawned on us that we don't have the level of expertise that people who are really focused on that do. So what I would say to you guys as you listen to me is, how can we align? How can we partner? How can we work together to offer a broader scope of services to clients? Because together we're more powerful than we are by ourselves. And that's what I hope this organization, Michael's group, can help us find ways in which we can partner and offer clients that broader scope. Now, I talked about ROI and clients looking for value and how metrics and analytics and being able to define that ROI has just made move forward by leaps and bounds over the last 10 or 20 years. The demand is so much stronger than it used to be. So how do we drive your business objectives? How do we integrate your story into the broader media conversation? What does ROI really mean? What is value? We can get you PR. A lot of companies get PR, but if it's just ink and it doesn't help you with your brand, then what's the point? And that's really the last bullet. Marketing without context has no value, and that's what we try to tell people. Just a real quick, some of our verticals that we work with clients. We work with a lot of nonprofits, a lot of entertainment companies, consumer products companies. We also work, I didn't mention it here, but we work a lot in children's content, which could be anything from a TV show to a book to a toy. We also have several lawyers as clients, including Matthew Aspel, who I met through Michael's group. So, we're generalists. There are certain things we don't do. We don't step into fashion, hardcore fashion, because you either have to be in or you have to be out. But for most areas, if we don't know a business, we can learn it very quickly. That's part of what you have to do, right? In our business is basically, it's like a graduate course, a college graduate course. Somebody says, hey, can you do this? And you go, sure. And then you study it and you learn it really, really quickly and you get up to speed. That's essentially who we are. I have about 3.5 minutes, so if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Yeah, Alan, so you said you were looking for like people that do wikis. So we actually do that. We do wiki editing, creating, as well as Google Knowledge Panel editing and creating as well. So maybe we should talk.
I would love to hear what you have to say about that. That could be super helpful for us.
Sure. Oh, and not to nitpick, but since you have this obsessive spell check thing, so MySpace I think is one word. In the deck it was presented as 2 words.
Okay, thank you.
Well, yeah,
I don't
while,
feel
while
quite as
you're
bad
editing,
about that as I do about botching Michael's name, but
Okay.
Rochelle, you got a question?
Yeah, I love knowing stories, and I think that what you gave us was a lot, it was like a nice background of an information of what you're focusing on. I'd like to tell me a story about like a success story from one of your clients in either one of those venues that you're dealing with.
sure. So one of the things that I'm particularly proud of is we've been working with this kids company called Zoonicorn. I met them at Licensing Expo, and this is a classic networking thing, right? It was one guy. He's not even a creative guy. He's an airline pilot and an engineer, but he had this idea and he acquired this brand and he started taking it to Licensing Expo. And for like 3 years, I would show up there at his stand with his licensing person and I would talk to them and we would just chat. And it took that long. It took like 3 years until they came to me and they said, you know what, we're ready to talk to you. But they were still a tiny little brand. There was just this one guy. It wasn't a company. And he was funding everything. But he hired us for PR and social. And then a year or so later, they made a deal with a huge international animation studio. And long story short, they're now on every streaming services, basically in every country in the world. In 2024, they're rolling out consumer products. They've made a lot of licensing deals, and they're rolling out all kinds of products for kids and families. And why it's feels so good is that we all work with a lot of startups who have a great idea, never are actually able to make it into a viable business. And this guy beat all the odds because usually you need a big studio or distributor behind you in the kids world. He did it himself, and now he's reaping the benefits. And we were there from the beginning with him. And it's a great feeling to know that you've helped somebody build something. I think that's really, what we do, right? That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to help our clients become successful in whatever their venture is. And often it doesn't happen. Even your best effort doesn't get them where they want to be. In this case, it did.
And what about a global? I mean, that's great, but do you deal with anybody in a particular country globally?
No, I would say we're globally agnostic. We've worked with companies in China, in Latin America, obviously in the UK, in France. We represented a French animation studio until just recently. We've worked with people pretty much all over the world, and we had an Israeli nonprofit that we worked with for quite a long time. So yeah, it's pretty across the board.
Was that by chance the Israel Tennis Centers?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So now I remember. One of my teams did their website a while back.
Yeah.
Krista has a question. We'll take that as the last question.
Yeah, I was wondering if you could tell me about the transition to the more binary model of PR. If maybe was it a lot of research, skills, a different skill set slightly, or maybe more than slightly for your employees?
Yeah.
When you say binary, do you mean digital?
From non-binary. Like we were very binary.
Right. So I took it to mean like, in other words, either traditional or digital. Now it's both. Like it's
true. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I think that, as I said at the beginning of this, I would love to say that, I had a strategic master plan in 2003. This is where we're going to be in 2023. It wasn't like that. It was more adapting to the market and understanding as social media grew that we needed to evolve with it and to find a need. And as I said, some businesses, as a matter of fact, when we started doing social, we outsourced it. We found a third-party partner to do it. And at some point, we finally said, you know what? We don't need them. We can do it ourselves. So I think that is part of the challenge of being a business like ours. You have to look at it and analyze what can we bring in-house and what do we need to outsource. And that's really the Wikipedia situation that that Rajiv mentioned that I brought up is a current. That's one of those things that's happening in real time right now as I'm speaking to you. We've had a couple of clients say, can you do our Wikipedia page? And we're like, sure, we can do that. But we had an internal meeting, and we went, we probably need some help because there are so many things about Wikipedia that if you don't know it, you don't know it. So I think that's a constant analysis of your own business. You can't, don't fake it till you make it, because clients are going to figure that out. If you can do it and you can do it well, do it. But if you can't, find a partner to help you.
All right. Thank you
Great,
so much. We did have a number of people join while in the middle of the presentation. So welcome to several guests. Jesse Resnick, welcome. Jordi Matsumoto. Who else joined? Carly Fink joined. So we now have Michael Falato, of course, a member. We now have a dozen people around the table, which is why Alan decided to go ahead with the presentation. If you just joined, we start off with a showcase as we usually do, 15 minutes, and then we go around the horn, usually about 2 to 3 minutes, since we do have, at least this is booked until 12:30, but oftentimes people need to leave at the top of the hour. So why don't we do 2.5 minutes? I put in the chat the order in which people showed up. So Rajiv already went, Alan went. Let's go to Rochelle, then Christina, and you'll see my timer. I'll and basically for the you'll pick it up, Jesse and Jordi and Carly. Obviously, Carly, you've been in my networks before. Tell us what you can do for other people, what your focus is, how you can help, and what you're looking for. And if there's anything in particular that stands out, that's memorable, and as Robert said, something that perhaps you've never told anybody before that you want to share with a bunch of strangers or for people that you've known from my network, we'd be happy to be your ear. So Rochelle, take it away.
Okay, it's Rochelle from Dynamic Business Growth. And I always say it's dynamic business growth and not schlep along business growth. And when we're talking about everybody here, I just find that so many companies really struggle with speaking about their business in a compelling way. They are long-winded, common, boring, and they lose, you just lose interest. So I always say when you talk about your business, are you storytelling or boring telling? Did you just tell me this dynamic story that based on that story, I'm going to understand your level of expertise and what do you bring to a client? What are the results? And I can connect on it on a more emotional level. When you just say, my name is, John, I do IT, and I'm located in Midtown Manhattan, my idea on that is I couldn't care less. So what is the story? And just for a lot of people on this call, everybody pays attention to your brand. If I hear that word one more time, it's going to be interesting. But nobody pays attention to their verbal branding. What do you say and how do you say it and how do you stand out so that you're looked at the clear and only choice for your clients? So creating a lot of these dynamic stories is where I do some of, my greatest work. I've repositioned people that after working with them, they don't even recognize themselves. They look at themselves in the mirror and say, like, who the heck are you? I've upgraded the way that they talk about themselves, and because of that, they really get a lot more money because they can actually get the fees that they're entitled to. So I want to do my next cohort. My next cohort, I want to zero in on 5 attorneys. So if anybody would understand and have a link to an attorney that is willing to upgrade their law practice, if we can have a conversation, I'd appreciate that. And that's about that. Oh, and the last thing that is funny is when you're dealing with networking, especially when it comes to face-to-face, like, on Zoom, you don't really get to know who the person is. Rajiv and I met for the first time. And what's interesting is a lot of people think that because I have a very powerful voice, they think I'm tall. In the meantime, I'm 4'11", and Rajiv, which I couldn't clear, is 6'5". So you can imagine when we met on a corner, what that was all about. So that, I think, is a very fun factor that you don't really get to know who somebody is through Zoom, because I was like startled. 6'5", I was like, what did your mother put in your Cheerios that my mother knew absolutely nothing about? So I thought that was a great giggle.
Thank you. And I didn't know that he was 6'5" either.
6'5" could do it. Whoa.
And I think we've met before in person. Christina Hagopian, a guest.
Oh, goodness. I think I need help and asking what nobody knows about me. That's the sad part, is like I think that there's like it's too much to know, or I have too much to share. I am a graphic designer and creative director like Alan, 22 years in business. You start to evolve in different ways. I started out as a print designer. That's where my heart and love still is. But digital is where I make the bread and butter recently, over the last decade at least. And I now live on Cape Cod after 18 years in Manhattan. And I would say that maybe the hardest thing that I can't find here is really, really good Asian food. So I've been learning to make my own, and I have like Gold Belly and deliveries and all these and I take hour-long drives to go off Cape to get ingredients that I can't find here. So that's my little tidbit of information. But I do love partnering with other marketers. That's why this group has been so fruitful over the years, partnering with Michael Bendit as well as Alan on many occasions. Carly, it's so good to see you, an old face. I look forward to connecting to everybody here.
Very cool. So yeah, Christina and I met 2011 or something like that. And she's been part of one of my networks for quite some time, as has Carly. Happy to have you over here. And she is modest in telling the work that she does, which is just amazing. So, and she's worked with some great brands, luxury brands, and then some great CPG brands like Pepsi. So, are you still doing a lot of email marketing work?
I am. It's interesting. Over the years, I've started to transition, also helping nonprofits with email, getting donations through their email, and telling their story and how their money is making an impact into the lives of others. And I think during COVID, I just made a different focus on where I want my life to be and where who I can help. So that was a shift in the business.
Christina, we should have a conversation, because I may be able to introduce you to people that do non-for-profit if you're doing fundraising through email.
I would love to talk. Let's
I know somebody that could be a good power partner for you.
Yeah, let's set up a one-on-one. I'll send you an email now.
Yeah, by the way, everybody should put their contact information in the chat, and I'll encourage folks to download at the end. Tim Gannon, you are up.
I'm Tim Gannon from Big Work Digital. I'm going to lead with first is something nobody knows about me and nobody really cares, which is oftentimes I will use my wife's deodorant. I just love the scent. The second thing is 2 weeks ago, I just got a really reputable agent to try and sell and get made episodic narrative that I wrote. The other thing is we do Big Work Digital is we're a marketing and video production company specializing in video production, web dev, and personal branding videos is something that we're doing now big time. I'm very happy because I met my quarter goals already. We've got a huge job coming. We're shooting 4-day job in Boston, Logan Airport, and then back to New York. Big job, very cinematic. And a client of mine just greenlit a $300,000 documentary that we're going to be doing. Now we only have the seed money. We only have a tenth of that to get it going. But check is in the mail, and we're going to start a documentary on the history of prison reform in the United States. A lot of graphics, a lot of animation, a lot of voiceover, a lot of infographics. You know, very Ken Burnsy, and a lot of interviews. So I guess I have three kind of success stories, which is just so rare for me. So it's kind of nice.
It's exciting. Are you looking for anything in particular?
I want to meet CMOs and solopreneurs, really, especially CMOs in the marketing industry, because we've done some videos for marketing, not marketing, manufacturing, and they're just really a blast to do. And, you know, to show the process of somebody who makes something, it's really fun on my end. It pays well on my end, and it's really great for the client because most of their customers or potential customers don't understand the process of their manufacturing. It's a tough sell. It's very nichey, but if anybody has knows CMOs in manufacturing, love to chat with them.
Well,
Absolutely.
Tim, not to, you know, kind of be my competition, but I would say go to trade shows. Manufacturing trade shows. I
do. I'm actually a preferred vendor at 2 MEPs.
These are all the cards that I just got over the last couple of months by going to manufacturing trade shows, and that's
I will do that. I go to the MEP ones all the time.
yeah. So that's what you need to do, and just build relationships from there.
All right.
Go to the ones that I'm not going to.
Yeah. Give me a heads up.
Or different booths anyway. All right, Krista Giannak, take it away.
All right. Who trusts you and why? I'm Krista Giannak, ghostwriter and blogger, wise words that matter. I am all about building trust and helping people use their stories, the stories that position them for greater impact. I used to hide from my personal journey, whereas now I embrace and speak about it as a writer and an amateur skier who just happens to be blind. Creatives and speakers hire me because they want to make an impact and they want someone who can help them use the stories that position them to do just that. Marketing people can have me as part of their team because I can do things like business bios, strategizing, writing a book with the client, services that build them up. My dream client would be someone like Neil deGrasse Tyson. And by the way, while I'm waiting, I really enjoy going behind the scenes on all sorts of industries. I've got a client right now who's a sales recruiter, and there's a lot of people skills, a lot of kind of maneuvering that happens behind the scenes that I get to write about. The same is true for other types of clients that maybe don't have traditional industries that sound exciting until you take a closer look. Krista Giannak, ghostwriter and blogger, wise words that matter.
Have you written books that you could share? Or do you not share because they're ghostwritten?
Yeah, it's kind of difficult. I've been mentioned in acknowledgements, and sometimes it's very much a team effort. So I can be mentioned as an editor at times when I can't be mentioned as a writer. It's kind of tricky that way.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much. And you're out in Long Island, right?
Yes. Although it doesn't matter so much anymore.
Does not matter at all. All right. Thank you for joining us. Okay, next up, Robert Weiss.
Hey, everybody. Nice to see you. Happy snow day. As Rajiv loves to hear, video, 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 video. That's what we do. It's all about creating content that happens to be video. As Tim and I were kind of talking before, I have a big manufacturing practice. That's kind of one arm of my business. We do a lot of work in manufacturing, and I think the other arm is professional services, like law firms, accounting firms, creating content that happens to be video for their content marketing initiatives, so they can take those videos and plug it into their PR, their SEO, their email nurturing, obviously their websites, follow-ups, thought leadership. There's a lot of business objectives that video plugs into. And when you can do it deliberate, video works really, really well within those marketing and sales workflows. So that's kind of a little bit of what we do. I was going to share a video, but it's probably 2 minutes long, so I won't do that.
You'd share something that you never told anybody.
I'll use that right there. That little right there. That is my certificate to climbing Kilimanjaro a few years ago. I did with my son, who was 14 years old at the time. So
What about the picture of your moonwalk to the right of that?
that is actually the first picture taken on Mars by, what was it? Promise? I can't remember the land.
That was a job you guys did?
I wish, right?
Was it in the green room, they say?
That's right, yes.
Was it chroma keyed?
No, that's actually a picture from NASA.
No, I'm teasing. Like that's the people think the land, the moon.
You can actually see it's got like the little camera up there, but it's amazing because it looks like it looks like the desert on Earth. It's amazing.
Right.
So
yeah, it's good. The shadow is very cool.
Yeah. So
usually try to avoid shadow, but it almost looks like a person holding a camera, but I don't think it's a person.
Yeah, you can see like the wheel, the arm of the lander, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool. Thank you so much. All right, so moving on, who is next? That would be Jordi Matsumoto.
Hey everyone, Jordi here. I'm out of Los Angeles, California. I'm a director and a producer. I have my own production company. It's called Marching Penguin. We're in our 12th year, so been fortunate enough to make it this far. Production's obviously a tough industry. I have a couple peers in the room here with me. Our claim to fame, or where we've kind of hung our hat over the years, has been in content, largely for we work a lot for agencies who work for big brands. So the majority of our clients tend to be Fortune 500, but we've also worked with a lot of startups, as everyone wants content, everyone wants video, right? But I think where we've been able to thread the needle is in being able to do high-end content, but that's also not costing $500,000 a pop, which is pretty typical for broadcast commercials, right? So, but we work with a variety of agencies, PR agencies, creative agencies, influencer marketing agencies, and usually are just kind of an arm to execute. And so along those lines, I've, as a director, kind of gone out a little bit more over the years. I mean, that's originally why I got into it. I'm really passionate as a filmmaker and, care about storytelling. And I found myself being not on set enough and not behind the creative wheel, so to speak. So the past couple of years, I've actually been partnering with other production companies to be a director and kind of step away from my production company from time to time. We've also built a freelancer and vendor management platform that if anyone works with a decent amount of freelancers and vendors, it's a good fit. And we've got free trials and, we're in beta right now. So if anyone's interested, it's free access to a cool tool that's brought a lot of utility to our company. I think it's made us faster and stronger. And at the end of the day, I'm actually pretty lazy. So, anything that can allow me to do more with less, that's what that tool is about. So
is that just is that focused on video production vendors?
It originally was built, it was built for us, but it's really, if you kind of understand the distinction between horizontal and vertical software, it really is kind of positioned as horizontal. So it can be cross industry. We haven't had the conversations yet, but people have talked about it being for construction, for healthcare. It could be for a number of different industries depending. Yeah. Sorry, I think you went on.
Yeah, I'm on mute. Yeah, we should talk because I've got a client who's looking to build something, and maybe that would be a good a foundation for it. Cool.
That's great.
Thank you so much. All the way from California. It turns out we have a few contacts in common, and I did speak to Dan. He says hello. Dan Gallagher.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks you for joining.
Thanks again for the invite.
Absolutely. Jesse Resnick, another guest.
Hi, everybody. Michael, thanks for inviting me. So yeah, I've got an agency called EI Digital. We're approaching year 14 now, started at the end of 2020. We're kind of a traditional full service digital agency. If anybody gets that, I came out of a digital agency called Special Ops Media that was then bought by a global agency. As that rolled up into a big entity that was eventually bought by Digitas, I was laid off and started this agency in 2010. We work with a lot of alcohol brands, a lot of PepsiCo is a client. The biggest PepsiCo brand we work on is Mountain Dew. We built, and then across, we've also worked with Botox and a bunch of startups, a good amount of B2B. And over the years, we've kind of expanded our service. About 3 years ago, we started adding in a lot more data to the work we do. So we have departments across strategy, marketing, social media, technology, creative services, and then content. So we've kind of gone the, we're sort of a full service agency, and where I think our sweet spot is when we're working with a brand to really be the connective tissue across their channels. So one of the main things that we do is really look at everything through a user experience lens. So we reverse engineer everything from kind of the end user experience back to the objective. I could, there's some cool work on our site and case studies and things like that. But yeah, that's kind of us in a very quick nutshell in terms of things that we're doing and challenges we're having. Like many agencies that I know, big and small, last year was just an absolute slog. Slowest business development year, of my career, quite honestly. And I'm kind of, in year 14, I now have 3 young kids, and I'm kind of looking to, grow our agency, and eventually would like to probably exit and sell the agency in some way. So we're looking to partner with people, grow. We're currently hiring account managers right now, and looking for really great people, ideally in the New York Metro. But we have a remote team all over the place. So I'm at time. I'll pause there.
Jesse, what type of clients do you have in, you say alcohol, liquor? What do you work with under that umbrella?
Sure. So Jose Cuervo, Bushmills Whiskey, and then all the way to, there's a distillery that just opened in Manhattan called Great Jones Distillery. So that distillery, we did, everything except for the bottle design. We've done their brand guidelines, most of the signage, their website we manage to this day. In the alcohol space, we also do direct to consumer, which, if you know, alcohol is very new and very difficult to do from a regulatory standpoint. So we are able to we have some partners and essentially can allow alcohol brands to sell direct to consumer, collect that consumer data, and have a full relationship with their client one-to-one. And so we're doing a lot of CRM work, a lot of email.
Do you do anything in like the wine and champagne, or?
We certainly could. The closest we've gotten to champagne is GH Mum. We pitched and we didn't win, but we know the space very, very, very well.
Okay, thank you.
Michael, you're on mute.
I met Jesse because we did some outreach for a friend of mine who was looking for help with social media and web on for a soft drink. So we connected. Carly Fink, welcome.
Hi, sorry, it's a little crazy. Between snow, kids not having school today, as well as I didn't even think about it. I own a market research company, so we do surveys, focus groups, in-depth interviews, all the stuff under the sun for market research. It's nice to see familiar faces in the room, but what I didn't think about when scheduling this 3 weeks ago is that it's post Super Bowl. So I have all my clients calling me about all the Super Bowl ads that we were testing pre and post ad awareness for. So very cool that we are part of that, but that's why I was a little late for the call, because I don't know if anyone saw it only was posted once, but there's a B2B, a ping pong ad for Papaya Global. I don't know if anyone saw that when they were watching the Super Bowl, where the ping pong was going back and forth. So we're testing how good that ad worked in the Super Bowl. So there's a lot of interested people to see what happens, since it was $7 million just to post one ad on the Super Bowl. But what we mainly do is actually more about understanding brands, consumers, how to launch them, how to rebrand them, right? Who are their customers? We work with brands across the board. I heard alcohol, we work with alcohol, we work with supermarkets, some chains with like 400 different supermarkets. We work with retailers that are in the mall that you go to every day. We work with HVAC tape, which you can't imagine talking 45 minutes to someone about the tape that connects your HVAC solutions. But what all these have in common is that our clients have a business need, and we help satisfy it with helping answer the business objectives by really making it actionable to the client. So we're not just a research firm, we're also brand strategists. I come from, Gray, JWT, which I think is now Thompson Wonderman. I think it might have changed again, but I was a brand strategist, but I also worked at companies like Harris Poll for market research, Provoke Insights. My company has been around for 10 years, and that's really it. And now I'm also on the board of, and it's not announced yet, but I'm on the board for a new AI technology that's coming out of Israel to help with transcription and doing focus groups via bots versus real people. So I'm right in the AI technology space, because I know that eventually my job is going to be taken over by robots. So.
Whoops! Thank you so much for joining us. Carly was a member of the marketing network, as well as was Christina. Okay, let's move on. Michael Falato, you're up.
Hey, Michael Falato here. Sorry, I'm going to have to leave real quick here, but I'm Michael Falato. I live in Orlando. I have a lead gen automation platform solution that basically sends out 20 to 30,000 emails that are targeted, specific to what your needs are, to try to get meetings, not to sell what you do, but to get meetings for you. There's also about 150 emails a day that I send out. Again, that's about 4,600 emails a month. 200 invites a week that will let you get meetings. And I do roundtables once a week for myself, like this, that I put in this thing, where we could talk about marketing and sales. And Michael and I have kind of pushed people to each other's roundtables that we do, and also referred business to each other. So we're really good friends. Would love to help you with you or your clients with those meetings. It's kind of better to spend time on selling, not hunting. So I've been doing this for 25 years. I've gotten my company to 85,000 a month in repeatable and scalable revenue. And that's basically 3 to 4 of us. Bots and automation could do the work, not a bunch of humans that are young, that are doing their first job. Let them do something that's more strategic. So yeah, would love to help. I'm a veteran-owned business, black belt jiu-jitsu, 26 years of selling. And I will actually look at your LinkedIn, maybe do it a month for free for you, because if you have good connections and I can use that for me and for you, I will actually do kind of a win-win approach to get you leads. So let me know. My calendar is in the LinkedIn there, and we can maybe find a way to kind of crawl, walk, run, and so you can see how it works. Just the LinkedIn side of it, of course. And then if you want to do something more, we could do email, LinkedIn, or roundtables. I do know what I'm doing. I do help people like yourself that are solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, and your clients. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you, Michael. And we're at the top of the hour, although I schedule this for an hour and a half. Now that we only do it twice a month. If you are leaving, definitely save the chat, because people did put their information in there. But I will put my timer on for myself. Actually, let's cancel this one and start a new one. So my name is Michael Bendit. Besides running this networking group, I also am an independent agent for software development teams. I should say it's expanding a little bit beyond that, but mostly it's teams that have specialties in different platforms. So I have, a WordPress team, I have a Shopify team, I have a Magento team, teams that do mobile development. And I recently added 2 specialists more at the lower end. So these are, for sites that are up to $5,000, let's say, on Squarespace and Webflow. Webflow in particular is catching on. It's a very capable low-code tool for building websites with more sophisticated database capabilities behind them, and also the ability to do pretty sophisticated interactive front ends as well. So that's why it's catching on. You'll probably hear more about Webflow. If you have any clients who might be interested in a lower cost solution for a website on Squarespace or Webflow, definitely let me know. I also have a team that is, they're purely a white label team for other agencies for SEO. They are offshore, but very sophisticated in terms of their tracking and reporting, and really following the data right through, and talking to Alan about potentially working with him and one of his clients. And also going to be having a discussion with a specialist in SEO, Digital Brand Expressions, about potentially supplementing their reporting capabilities. Best leads for me happen to be other digital agencies, because they don't always have those resources in-house to do the development work, right? Programmers are expensive. They also tend to be very niche. So even if you've got a programmer on staff that does WordPress or something like that, maybe Shopify or Squarespace, if something comes your way that is not in that category, you don't want to turn it down. You have the capabilities to deliver other marketing services, but you need a partner who can do the programming and development. So that's my pitch. I'm going to go back to the gallery mode. We're down to 9 folks. Thank you to our guests for joining. Do save the chat. So if you go to the chat window and click the 3 dots at the bottom, the first choice is save chat, and that'll save to your Zoom folder under documents. And thank you, Alan, for the presentation. I will be posting that on our YouTube channel, as well as sending a link out in our in my email. If any of the guests have an interest in coming back or joining, let me know. We do have a free 3-month trial. After that, it's $360 a year. And we have meetings twice a month on Tuesdays, the 2nd and 4th Tuesday of the month. So thank you all, and have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you, everybody.
Take care.
Bye.